tell you why. This is part of the story, but anyway, I was a behavior teacher for 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. The Hulk was in 3rd grade at some other school, and when the kids, they needed to go to the behavior class, they had to come to my school. So they didn't have behavior classes in each school. They only had them in, where I taught. So his teachers couldn't handle him, and there was a good reason for that. Turns out that this kid had brothers and sisters, and they were all in special education, and the Hulk was not, and they couldn't get him qualified. They would test him, and he was too smart, and they would take him to the doctor, and the doctor said he's too healthy. He wasn't, he had all these other issues. But they always got a check from the government for each of their kids that had different problems and being diagnosed with being in special education. And so they told the Hulk every time he went to school, "Oh, now I know you hate it at school. It's a terrible place. I know you want to come home. And so, if you want to come home, you just let everybody know that you want to come home. And if they don't let you, then you just get upset about that. And you can holler and scream and yell." And so they would coach him every time they dropped him off. "We know you hate school. You don't have to be here." Anyway, so he got to the point where if he didn't get his way or whatever, he would start yelling and screaming. He got to, they gave him this phobia of school. They put it in his head. So he was too smart, he was too healthy to get into special ed, but if you make him crazy, then he can get into special ed. So they made him crazy, basically. And he comes into, so he ends up being, nobody can handle him, and they talk about him just yelling and screaming at the top of his lungs for 20 to 30 minutes, an hour at a time. Of course, they couldn't handle him in the regular class, so they put him in the principal's office, and he would just yell and scream and just throw fits and go into these rage modes and throw stuff and whatnot. So he qualified for the behavior class now. So he's coming to my class every day, but guess what? When you make somebody hate school, and you tell them that they don't like school, and they start going to a different school, they don't just turn that off. Now that they had him in special ed, which was their goal to begin with, they would told him, "It's okay, you can like school now." He said, "No, that didn't happen." So he'd come to school, and they would have to drag him out of the car, and they would say, "Come and help." And I said, "Oh no, I'm not going to go out there. What would this look like on the evening news? A teacher comes out and drags a kid into school, kid pitching and screaming. That's not going to happen." I said, "You get him in the building, and I'll take care of it." But so we had this little routine where I'd meet him at the door, and every day he would yell and scream and, look like a cat trying to take a bath. And he'd come out of his clothes sometimes, and his brothers would grab him by his underwear and hold him upside down and do all kinds of crazy stuff to get him in the building. Once they got him in the building, then I would do my behavior training and restraint training stuff, and we'd go put him in a room and let him chill out for a while. And so he got to where, "I want to go home, I want to go home, I want to go home," and we would never let him go home. And some days were good days, and it wasn't too bad, and some days were just terrible. And some days he'd come in just fine, and then he'd have a fit. So we had this little area that we would take him to let him calm down, and there were days that, sticky brain, lots of thorns on that one. Anyway, this is one of those days. He started off the day just fine. He had a new shirt and everything. And it was a button-up shirt. Most kids don't wear button-ups. Most kids wear t-shirts and, at best a polo, but this was a button-up shirt, so this was not your normal day, not your normal shirt, especially from a family whose income was such, they were. And I made some home visits, and Of course, they live in this dilapidated place with roaches all over the place. But they've got their Bose surround sound and their DVDs and their Blu-rays, and you know, they've got all kinds of goodies. It wouldn't fit enough to let my dog live there as far as cleanliness, but anyway. We had, he would come out and just freak out. I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna go home, you know. So we'd take him to our little place and our little room. It was kind of like the quarter the size of a classroom, you know. It's just a smaller room. So I'd go in the room with him and I'd wait till he calmed down. But anyway, one time he's there and he had this button-up shirt on and he looks at me and goes, "Let me go!" And I said, "No, you have to stay." Oh no, I'm sorry. I would never say no. I would say you can go home at 2:30 because that's what time school got out. You can go home at 2:30. That's what I always told him. And so he ends up, I don't know. No, 2:30. You can go home at 2:30. He looks at me and he takes his shirt and he just pulls it out. And of course, this is where we get the Hulk. But he goes, and he pops all the buttons, and he's a little chubby kid. And he just, and then he looks me dead in the face and goes, "Look what you made me do!" So, that was the Hulk. There was another time, we had our little classroom, you know, but they'd have to take him out there. And the same kid, I can't remember if this was before or after the shirt episode. It's probably after, because he just upped the ante, you know. Oh, that didn't work, so I'm going to try something else. Because that didn't work, so I'm going to try something else. And that didn't work. So he just kept upping the ante, upping the ante, upping the ante of everything that he could do. So I had him in our little room, and it's just me and him and a camera, of course. And he stripped, butt naked. And he goes, "I want to go home." And I was like, "You will at 2 o'clock, and now he's butt naked. I want to go home." I said, "Well, you can't go out the building now, dude. You're naked." And then he peed on the floor, peed all over the floor. So, moral of the story, don't make your kids hate school so you can get a check. Oh, I wonder what happened to that kid. The Hulk, he's probably 20-something years old now. Oh, he was funny. And of course, things got better. He got to where he was fine. And they still got their check. But it took me a whole bunch of therapy. Not necessarily my therapy, you know, but you go to the school nurse or counselor and stuff. Eventually he got to where he was fine. I don't think he ever went back to the regular school, though, or the regular classes. He could do it, but he always chose not to. There we go. Cool. Hey, there's some sunglasses. Swamp Mill Trail. What did we just ride on? Iron Mountain Spur. Iron Mountain, quarter of a mile.